My name is Dan Dorval, and I'm President and CEO of Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. I am an independent certified financial planner and author of my book, Financial Success for the Rest of Us, Reality-Based Financial Planning for Mainstream America.
Hi, my name is Leah Woodley. I'm an associate financial advisor with Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. Our conversations discuss what it means to do quality of life planning in all areas of your life.
Then Ed Slott recently put out an article about traditional IRAs. And while the information was factual, it may not be relevant to everyone, which ties into the noise that we see each and every day. He is definitely a leader when it comes to the IRA space, but once again, the information may not be applicable to everyone, which can end up causing some harm. Why don't you talk about that article?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty common thing in the financial services world. They take an expert like Ed Slott, who is, absolutely, like you said, a leader in that field, and they put a controversial headline, which was essentially that an IRA, just a traditional IRA, is one of the worst possible assets you can own. And so the headline catches a lot of, gets a lot of clicks, a lot of views, and people are sitting out there going, what? I have an IRA. Does that mean I'm doing something wrong? And we see this a lot. We refer to it as noise, and the financial services media tends to contribute to that noise. Now, this is pretty common because the assumption in the article, there are two primary assumptions that lead to this headline. And the assumption is that number one, you are so wealthy that you will never, ever have to touch your IRA. So you've got this great big IRA because you're very wealthy and you're never going to touch it. So that means you're going to die with it. And when you die, you're going to leave it to your heirs. It also assumes your heirs are very high income and they are going to have to pay a whole bunch of taxes on that inheritance because they have to, if it's a non-spouse, they have to remove that IRA within 10 years. That was the premise of the article. Number two is it was only for people that are in this type of situation. So the assumption of the heirs was that they make over $500,000 a year. Okay. Now there are definitely people who make over $500,000 a year, but this article honestly was geared towards about the top 1% of wealth and income in our country. That means that the article was inappropriate for roughly 99% of American households. And certainly most of the people that we help, nurses, when they are saving and investing through their 401k or whatever vehicles that they're using for retirement, most of their money will ultimately be in an IRA. And the key is, and this is one of our biggest points of expertise, they need that money in order to generate an income in retirement in order to maintain the quality of life that they want to have. They saved it for retirement. They are now going to use it for retirement. So our assumption is not that it's just going to sit there forever and never get touched until they have to take required minimum distributions. So the premise of the entire article does not fit for most American households.
Yeah, and the fact that the article is in outlets like Yahoo Finance, just common places that a lot of people would read, it makes it so that people would assume that, oh my, I should not be utilizing an IRA. And that can be very dangerous. What would you advise viewers to do when they see information like this put out there?
Well, it's natural, first off, for people to see this type of thing and think, oh, well, it just applies to me. And the whole point of financial planning is that it is personal. It is your values and priorities and motivations. It's your situation that provides the context for independent advisors like us to be able to put together your various puzzle pieces in order to create the picture of what your goals look like. So, for retirement specifically, that context is so critically important because if somebody does have $10 million in net worth and maybe they have $2 million in an IRA, and yet at the same time, they don't need all of that money to be able to maintain quality of life. Yes, absolutely. Ed Slott might be right. Wealth manager type people might be right that maybe they should do something with that IRA to make it more tax efficient when they ultimately die. And that is the only point of the article. It's after you die. Well, our focus on quality of life is almost always while you are living. It is a focus on your quality of life, not those of your heirs. And for most of our clients, if maybe they have hundreds of thousands of dollars in their IRA rather than millions or tens of millions, in most cases, they're going to generate an income stream and they're going to use that money and they're going to pay taxes on it, but they're going to pay taxes at a rate that is at or below what they were probably earning, while they were working. So an IRA can be a very tax efficient approach to providing that monthly retirement income that you need in order to maintain quality of life. And now when you pass away and it ultimately goes to your kids, yes, that IRA is still going to be taxable. And there is a chance that your kids are in a higher, income bracket than you were if they are still working. But at the same time, it provided for your quality of life. If those kids have to pay tax on the residual, they can spread that out over the course of 10 years. They can use it to enhance their quality of life. And even if they did have to pay higher tax, in most cases, it's not going to be significantly higher than the tax that you deferred by putting it in the IRA in the first place.
Right, absolutely. I think also he made a statement in there that everyone should just be contributing to the Roth portion of their 401k. And once again, that's not the case for everybody. Everyone, like you said, everyone's situation is personal. And that type of blanket advice can be harmful. So
I can tell you for most, we help a lot of nurses and healthcare professionals, and a lot of these households are like two earner households. They're doing pretty well, they're making good money, but they're generally in the 22% tax bracket associated with income tax. Now, they might be in the 24% tax bracket. This is like the bread and butter upper middle class of the United States are in 22% and 24%. When they defer into their 401k on a pre-tax basis, they are getting that 22% or 24% top marginal rate. They're saving that initially. Now, when they retire, for most retirees, if you are a married couple earning less than about $125,000 a year of gross income, you are in the 12% federal tax bracket. So for the vast majority of our retirees, they're earning at 22 or maybe even 24. In many cases, they're taking out the bulk of those IRA distributions at 12%. Maybe some of it's at the 22%, but the bulk of it's at 12. That is a very important difference as far as how it relates to taxes and what makes saving on a pre-tax basis so powerful for most American households. Now, that being said, I do love Roths because Roths provide a tax-free bucket of money that are very good for like periodic lump sum expenditures. Maybe that's a big trip, buying a car, home remodeling. There are things that require a chunk of money, and a Roth is an awesome source of funds for that. So for most American households, if you have some combination of the two, some pre-tax, some Roth, that can be the tax diversification you need in order to be able to have greater flexibility in retirement.
right, we always push for tax diversification. So that is definitely important and definitely something to keep in mind when you're seeing information out there like this. It's very important that you filter out the noise and understand that though there is informational articles being put out like this, it may not necessarily be applicable to your situation. I think that's the value in having a financial planner, because we can put things into context for you so that you know whether or not this advice is applicable to you or not.
Now, one thing too, even the Roth part that he's talking about, I see this all the time on social media. There's financial advisors that really, really actively promote you should have all of your money in Roth stuff, if possible. Like they'll do big Roth conversions, or they'll tell you your contributions should be all Roth. If you're extremely high income, That means that you're paying taxes today on that Roth conversion, or you're paying taxes on that Roth contribution through your 401k. You're probably paying at the highest tax rates. So then if you ultimately, let's say you had a bunch of pre-tax money and then you died, and let's say your heirs are paying at the highest tax rates, what's the difference?
Right.
You're still paying at the highest tax rates. Now, the Roth has greater flexibility to the heirs because it's an after-tax account, but at the same time, the tax benefit is not there, even if you're one of these people who's at a very high income level. It only works for a tiny fraction of people who are at lower incomes for a period of time, and then they can do big conversions. And it ends up being nonsensical for almost everybody that we help. So these frustrations of people coming to us and saying, well, you know, I read that IRAs are bad.
Yeah.
And then we have to answer those questions and put it in context, you know, essentially all day, every day. And that, you know, we do that, but you know, it's a frustration for us.
Yeah. So definitely filter out the noise. That is the bottom line. Well, I hope this was beneficial to someone. I hope you got some takeaways from this. Know that a lot of information that is put out there is for the upper echelon, those who are in the highest earning tax brackets, but it's okay to ask questions, seek advice for your specific situation. Anything else you want to add?
No, everyone should just watch our YouTube channel and
There
you
you
know,
go. Subscribe. Well, until next time, thank you and have a great day.
all right, thanks, Leah.